Last week we learned 3 chords. We learned a form of E minor, we learned an A2, and we learned a D2. Now, just to let you know why we did what we did, it's because really what we were after last week was getting you started using the core of your hand, building up some strength. This week we're going to learn 3 new chords that are going to get the outside fingers involved, especially that pinky. So, here we go. Your first chord that you're going to learn this week is a G chord. Now, there's more than one way to play a G, but this is the way I want you to play it, because again, we're trying to do this week getting those 4 fingers involved. So here we go. This is your G. You're going to go at it like this, from the thinnest strings to the thickest strings, the highest notes to the lowest notes. You're going to take your pinky finger, your 4th finger. It's going to be on your 1st string on the 3rd fret. The 3rd fret is easy to find on your guitar. Most guitars are going to have some type of dot marker, and that's going to be a good visual indicator that you can see seated from an upright position. So here we are. 4th finger, 1st string, 3rd fret. Now what you're going to do is slide that finger up so it's just behind the fret. Now it gets tricky. You're going to take your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, on the same fret, on the 3rd fret. And what you want to do is you want to kind of line it up behind the other one so it's real good and close and tight. See how that's locked in? Real good and close and tight. There's not a big gap in between them. Those need to touch. They need to be all over each other. Okay? Now, you're going to take your 1st finger and you're going to go to the 5th string on the 2nd fret. So here you are. See it? All right. Now, to finish it out, you're going to take your 2nd finger, put it on the 6th string, all the way up here on the 3rd fret. Can you see that? So, 4th finger, 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger. Check it out on the diagram. Press all down, get your thumb behind that neck so you've got a little bit of grip on it. Press into it and strum it one time. You should hear all 6 strings. Strum it slowly. There it is. This is your G chord. Take your time and mess with it. It's going to take you a few minutes of moving your hand around, getting in the right place. Remember, if the sound is all choked, you could be too far back in the fret, or you could have a finger that's interfering with an open string. For example, I'll take my 1st finger, that note, and I'm going to slide it over a little bit so it's barely touching the D string. Hear that? So now when I strum through, these 2 notes come out fine, but then when I get to the D string, that finger is interfering with an open string. Remember again, as you're doing this, and I'm going to clamp down on this real good so I get marks in my fingers. See where the marks are in my fingertips? They're out on the tips, not up on that little fleshy part. They're way out here on the end. That's where you want them. Again, 4th finger, 1st string, 3rd fret. 3rd finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. Real nice and tight. 2nd finger, 6th string, 3rd fret. 1st finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. That's what it looks like. Okay, so let's strum on that just a little bit. highly suggest you get really familiar with this chord because you're going to be playing it a lot. Now, let's move on to our next chord, and this is your C2. Again, there are multiple ways to play a C, and you will learn some of those, but for right now, this is the one I want you to learn. So, do not move your hand, but relax it just a little bit. Take the pressure off so you're not bearing down on those strings. Now, keep your third and fourth finger right where you got them. They're on the first and second string on the third fret. They're not going to move. You're going to take this shape that you had here on the fifth and sixth string, and you're going to move it down one set of strings to the fourth and fifth. So now, your first finger is on the fourth string on the second fret, and your second finger is on the fifth string on the third fret, and your sixth string, you're going to try not to hit it. So you're going to get this sort of sound when you get in place. Again, hear that ringing, jangling thing you had up top? Hear that jangling thing up top? Okay. This interval, part of the reason we use this is this interval is a fourth, and it sounds open. A traditional C chord does not sound this way. A traditional C chord sounds this way, or it sounds like this. It's a very traditional, dare I say, country sounding chord. And if you're playing that kind of music, that's great, and that is the chord you play. If you're playing bluegrass and you see a C, this is the chord you play. The only exception is some guys play it this way, so they can go ahead and get that extra low note in there. The problem is this. This sounds very country. Whereas when we stack the chord this way, that sounds very modern. It has a really open sound. This is why we use it. We also use it for this reason. To go from a standard G to a standard C, you don't have to learn these right now. I just want to show you the transition. You would play it like this, and then you would play it like this. So what you're doing is you're rolling. Do you see that in my wrist? Do you see it moving all over the place? Or you could do it this way. And what's happening is each time everything is lifting off. And as a beginner, every time you pull all of your fingers away from the strings, you have a great chance to lose your place. And we're trying to make this thing simple. We're not trying to make it complicated. So we have this G, and then to make the move to C, we do that. And the third and fourth finger stay put. And then go back to G, and then go back to C, and then go back to G, never moving the third and fourth finger. And then go back to the C2, never moving the third and fourth finger. And then back to G, and then back to C, and then back to G. And the video is going to end right here. Take a few more minutes and just make that cycle back and forth between those two chords.